Hello and welcome to a review, well, a comparison of Ace Combat and Project Wingman. And now I should say, instead of the entirety of Ace Combat, I should say it's Ace Combat 7. Ace Combat 7 and Project Wingman. Which is better? My opinion, basically. Now, we're going to talk about the very first thing, the most important thing for both of these games, in my opinion, the soundtrack. Now, both of the games have a very good, solid soundtrack for both of them. Project Wingman's pretty well makes it so you really want to feel either the despair, the anxiety of the situation. Ace Combat does that. Ace Combat 7, I should say, does that pretty freaking well too. Now, in terms of which soundtrack is a better out of total, I would say Ace Combat 7 has a better soundtrack than Project Wingman. In total. Now, Project Wingman, I think, has more repetitive music. They use more music from other missions to this mission, which is okay. That's perfectly fine. But with Ace Combat's different mission, different soundtrack, well, that kind of gives Ace Combat a bit more leeway, whatever you call it. Well, that's at least with Ace Combat. That's at least with the soundtrack. And Daredevil, Daredevil, Archangel, the freaking DLC soundtrack for freaking, I forgot what it's called. There's that and all that. Project Wingman has some good ones, but I don't even know what their names are. And I've caught myself, and I listen to the Ace Combat soundtrack a lot more than I would the Project Wingman one, and I listen to the Ace Combat soundtrack a lot. But anyway, now to another very important thing. Planes. Now, with this, planes also account for the post-stall maneuvers and flares. This also includes both of those. With that, Ace Combat has it so where in gameplay you can post-stall, and you can use your flares, even though they're limited. In Project Wingman, you can either pick between flares or a post-stall able system for your plane. Which is better? I think having both is better for Ace Combat. So again, another point for Ace Combat. But that is because Ace Combat, you get both, and the flares are really great, which I like a lot more than Project Wingman's produce infinite number of flares. Which is fine in the gameplay, it works well, and the game's fun. Again, this is just all opinion. Now, and Ace Combat 7 has a shit ton more planes than Project Wingman, but Project Wingman, I will give, is a crowdfunded game. I didn't know that. Project Wingman is a crowdfunded game. And Ace Combat is Project Ace, and it's a Brand Dynamico game, so it has a little bit more backing, so they get a little bit more things. So you gotta give it a little bit of leeway with that. And now, replayability. This is something that's very different. Replayability, Project Wingman takes the fucking cake. Why does Project Wingman take the cake with this? Project Wingman has the modifiers in the game, which you can do that, and the mercenary difficulty, which actually changes some of the first few missions. I don't remember if it changes all the missions. I've played through mercenary all the way through, but I don't remember if it changes every mission, but I do remember it changes the first mission, the second mission, the third mission. It changes certain of the missions. And with all the modifiers, you can change the game to where you take more damage, you don't take any damage at all, or, well, you take more damage and do more damage. There's a Speed Demon one. I don't remember all of them, so. But there's a lot of modifiers you can do to just a campaign or the Conquest mode. Now, this is strictly talking about the campaign, which I should have said, but whatever. Ace Combat's campaign, it just makes it harder with difficulties. That's really all it does. Kind of mad that I don't have, in Ace Combat, they don't have the one missile you hit, you die. That kind of makes me sad. But they both have the oh shit missiles every 10 seconds. They both have that, so there's that. But for replayability, Project Wingman really does take a lot for that. Now, another thing we're going to get into. Accessibility. Ace Combat wins. Why? Because Ace Combat is on the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the computer. Project Wingman, computer. It's a crowdfunded game, so I gotta give it, at the very least, meh, can't do much about that. Now, other modes, such as multiplayer or conquest mode, which one I think is better? Well, I think the Ace Combat's multiplayer is kinda lacking. It's kinda lacking. It's just a team versus thing. If they added more things like, what was it, Infinity, that'd be a lot better. The whole mercenaries competing, that'd be a lot more fun. But so, my point is gotta go to the conquest mode, because A, I like roguelites, B, conquest mode is just fun. It's, it needs a bit of rebalancing issue with the alert level, my opinion, but I think conquest mode really takes it over multiplayer from Ace Combat's multiplayer a lot. So I think conquest mode is a lot better than Ace Combat multiplayer. So that's another point for Project Wingman. Now, fun value, I think they're both fun as hell. I love both of them for different reasons. But I think that both of them are fun, and both of them have their own ways and good things you could play them for. Now, controls, they're pretty much the same for both games. They're a little bit different, not much, but you're using a controller. You can pretty much pick up Project Wingman or Ace Combat, either one, either or, really very easily. They're very, very similar. Now, on to another very, very important thing for both the games. Story-wise, I gotta give Ace Combat. Granted, again, Project Wingman's a crowdfunded game, so technically we're comparing AAA to indie, so there was that. But story-wise, Ace Combat's a lot better, mostly, and obviously because Ace Combat is... This isn't even actually the 7th game, this is just the 7th game on the console. Well, hell, it's not even the 7th game on the consoles. Because this is actually the 8th game on consoles. So there's that, and there's the Ace Combat X, which is on PSP, which is in the same world. But Ace Combat has a lot more lore in its series and games, so a lot of the story you kind of get, and with the fact that the cutscenes, and it shows a lot more of the story, and you hear about a lot more of the story just through the entire game. Combat's got a more solid story. Project Wingman has a more fun story. Project Wingman's story is basically the Federation versus Cascadia, I think. If I remember right, yes. Yes, it's Federation versus Cascadia. Which reminds me a lot of Star Wars, by the way. But, anyway, you're a mercenary in a war. First, you start out working for the Federation, then you go work for the Cascadian people, because, better deal, or the Federation doesn't care about you anymore, which is what I think is what's going on. The Federation just doesn't care about mercs anymore. But, there's that, there's the accordion-tipped bombs, there's the whole incident of why the world's like it is. If you didn't know, it's our world, but holy shit fucked up. Problem with the Project Wingman story is it keeps raising the stakes more and more, and it just kind of gets boring. Now, Ace Combat does it too, but it does it in a more believable in-world way. Such as, well, then again, Project Wingman does it that well too, but in this whole case about both their stories, I kind of gotta give it to Ace Combat. Because Ace Combat's just more solid, it's more rooted in that world, it knows what it's doing. Project Wingman is good, it's fun, but I liked Ace Combat's a lot more. Story-wise, at least. Now, another thing. One more thing. Boss fights. Boss fights. Project Wingman has some damn fun boss fights. And they have a goddamn health bar. Which I effing love. Now, problem is I absolutely hate that they get rid of your HUD at the last mission. The fact that your HUD is gone in the last mission makes me give this to Ace Combat for boss fights. And I hate it because I freaking love the boss fights in Project Wingman. They are so much fun. They make sense for that world, they're fun. The oh shit missiles makes fun with the amount of freaking missiles, which mine are by the way. But I gotta give it to Ace Combat 7 because they don't do anything completely super stupid, like getting rid of your HUD and your radar, which you can still see it, but you gotta go into freaking first person, and Ace Combat wins it for that. So, overall, Ace Combat is the quote-unquote better game for story, all that. And the boss fights in Ace Combat 7, I freaking love too, but there's nothing I hate about it. That's the whole thing. There's nothing I hate about that. It's the only reason why Ace Combat wins for boss fights. It doesn't get rid of your HUD. They know not to fucking do that. And if they do get rid of your HUD, it's a fucked HUD. It's more of a you get struck by lightning HUD, which it's fine. That's fine. It gets rid of it for a few seconds, it comes right back, and it's just glitchy and shit, which is fine. That's fine, but completely getting rid of your HUD, I know that Project Wingman was going for a cinematic feel of you. I fucking hate it though! Ah! I would love the last fight so much more if they didn't get rid of your fucking HUD. I'm not kidding about that. One other thing we're going to talk about really quickly is that your Wizards talk in Project Wingman, so that gives another point to Project Wingman. Your fucking Wizard talks. So it's about 3 for Project Wingman, 5 for Ace Combat 7. Well, like I said, Ace Combat 7 I think is the better game, but Project Wingman is a more fun villain. So they both have their ups, they both have their strengths. If you're looking more for a story, and if you've played Ace Combat games, you will love Ace Combat 7 over Project Wingman, like I do. If you've never played any of these games before, Project Wingman you'll probably like more, just because Project Wingman is more fun. But I fucking love the Crimson Horn fight. I got it basically fucking like the fight from Project Wingman is the whole fucking over the Bering Straits, that whole fight. Oh, that fucking air fight's so much fun. But again, I'm just gonna say this. On my humble opinion, Ace Combat 7's better. Project Wingman is more fun. Would I rather play Ace Combat 7 or Project Wingman? It all depends when I'm looking for. What's your status? But that is my opinions on this. You have different opinions? Perfectly fine. Go ahead and comment and say what you think's better, or what you say is worse. Just disagree with me. I don't care if you disagree with me, that you say Project Wingman is 100% better than Ace Combat, or if you 100% agree with me. It's an... But, anyway, bye.